Hello everyone, this is Sigurd from Supersaito, and today we're going to talk about some automation for our Webflow forms, so like web forms on our website. Uh, we're going to kind of add the automation which helps us to send the form inquiries to our Notion CRM to keep them and as a leads, and also to send a kind of email to the person who submitted the form as a kind of a confirmation of their of that form is submitted. So the problem is that when we build our forms in Webflow, we have kind of like a default form submission scenario working for us, and what we get from the Webflow is something like this. So this kind of email which just says that you got some new form submission. So it just gives you this information, and it kind of like lives in our email inbox, and we kind of like need to manually read these emails and manually process them. Maybe like put them as a leads to our Notion CRM here, or any other way of managing the leads. But what we're going to do is that we're going to build an automation which adds them automatically here. By the way, if you haven't watched my previous video about building these leads table for the Notion CRM, and like all other videos where we're talking about this setup of the CRM and Notion, please watch the previous video. And getting back to the conversation, we are going to make an automation which adds these leads here automatically, and we're also going to set up an automation which sends emails, something like this, to the person who actually submitted the form. So we're going to tell them that we got your inquiry and we will be in touch with you soon, so that the person kind of like feels a little bit more relieved, kind of how to say, more safe, that his inquiry was actually received by the company. We're going to use this kind of scenario. So it's very simple. So we have a webhook here, we have Notion, and we have loops. So just like 3 modules. So the first one is a webhook. You kind of like create the webhook in Make, and when you go to Webflow, you in the form settings you can add webhook as kind of like a destination, like where your form submissions will be sent to. So you can add it from here. You can add multiple webhooks, and then after you actually submit the form, the data will arrive to this webhook. Then what we do is that we populate our data table in Notion with this inquiry. So we kind of like map the data from the payload. So like the name comes here, font comes here, and something like that. So we populated this data, and then in loops, we are going to send the transactional email. So in loops, if you go to the home screen on your menu, you have this like transactional. Is a type of the emails which are kind of like programmatically sent with the API to some users. So for example, this time I created this email template with just like simple text. Here I used a variable, so kind of like to put the name of the person to who we send this email. And in loops, when in make, when we use this send transactional email module, we can specify which transactional email we want to send. So basically this one, the inquiry auto-reply. And we can set the value for our variable as a name, and also we bring the email address from the webhook data which we received from the Webflow. So this is a very simple workflow, can be built in less than 30 minutes if you already worked with these tools. So now let's check how it actually works. And now let's go to here. Here we have like a small project request form built in Webflow. Here I agree to my to the privacy policy, and I will put it as a kind of like I want to receive the marketing communication. So now I will submit the form. Form is submitted. What we see here, we got the data on the webhook. We got the data coming to the Notion and to the loop. So now let's check the Notion. So here I have new lead coming in. This is exactly what I submitted. And I will check my email. So it's actually kind of like showed as a duplicate because like I already received the previously kind of like the same email. So yeah, this is how it works. So this workflow will help you to have your leads automatically come into your CRM, so that will remove some of the manual work, and also it kind of lets the person know that his submission was received. Um, and this is actually a very popular workflow. So please feel free to copy it and to build it for your business. And by the way, like if you have a kind of problem, if you don't know how to build it or you kind of like want to save time building that, feel free to reach out. I will be happy to help you to build the workflows for your business using make automations, using Webflow, using Notion, loops, like whatever. Kind of like we have a rich experience of building different automations. So please feel free to reach out. I will be happy to help you. And please don't forget to subscribe on the channel. I will be very happy to see more people following, so that I feel more motivated to share more. And also, please leave the comments about what other workflows, like what other things, particularly in sales, marketing workflows, would you like to automate in your business? And I will be glad to kind of like come up with some solutions and share them on YouTube as well. Yeah, thank you, and see you in the next videos. Bye.